Hi, folks. Welcome to episode 3 of the Tour de France Netflix commentary podcast. Got to speed it up a little bit because I realized that the Tour de France starts in like 2 weeks, and y'all are not going to want to watch my recap about the last year's Tour de France during next year's. So I asked him, I was like, hey, we're going to have to watch more of this. How did you feel when I told you, or when I asked you that?
I asked you if we had enough mezcal to get us to do that.
Yeah, and we don't. We're out of mezcal.
I know. It's a problem. And popcorn. A lot of you asked last week if we really were eating popcorn, and the answer is yes.
We're supposed to eat snails?
I know. I don't understand why people thought it was weird.
Why would you fake, like, popcorn's not hard to get?
all the time. You announced...
You watch a thing.
You ate the last bag earlier today.
I did.
And I had no popcorn.
It's a delicious, salty snack. So episode 3, well, you want to try to do a summary again this week?
I can try.
Okay,
it's not going to be great. It's going to be the same thing.
That's all right.
But I know it's the mountain stages started, so we're going to get into the climbing, right?
Yep.
We started did he start with stage 7?
Well, it's stage 7 to like vaguely 11 or 12 or 10. I'm not sure. They didn't really do a great job, and I think Netflix doesn't care.
But we started at 7.
Yeah, 7 was it was rigid till there, but then it skips back and forth because they have one story arc goes through stage 9 and then one goes back, which is a good way to tell a story, but also if you're trying to follow the race as we normally would, problem.
Right. But also, yeah.
I think it's okay. I'll allow this creative license.
Okay. There was a lot of animals.
Well, the first one, episode 3 was all the French teams. It was all about the French.
That was Pinot's animals and his ranch farm and whatever.
We like that part.
I love that.
Wow disappointed us with the dog. They didn't get into his whatever type of dog he had. And then as soon as like, oh, we're at Thibaut's house, I was like, oh, there's going to be goats. Yeah. There's going to be goats because everyone knows the Thibaut goat thing. If you're a cycling fan,
I had no idea.
It's a thing. And I was like, oh, here come the goats. And then there's like, they zoom out. There's like a drone shot of his farm and there's all this grass. And then you just hear a meh. And I'm like, yeah, here, this is it. Is that what a goat sound? That's a sheep. Meh. I don't know what
Goats are chaotic. They're really funny animals.
Yeah.
I mean that in a positive way, but
They'll eat your clothes. Yeah. Anyway, they showed Thibaut at home, which we enjoyed. That was all the French thing.
So then in episode 4, they get more into, I guess, the real battle in the climbing stages, right? Right.
So the actual GC
top
guys.
Threes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. First of all, how do you like the show so far? Would you watch this if you didn't ride bikes?
No.
That was quick. Okay. No. Yeah, I knew the answer to that before. You just had to say it.
I mean, I'm interested in it because I do ride bikes, but it's a little confusing. It just jumps around. There's no storyline. I think it's hard to follow if you knew nothing about cycling. Yeah. Because even though they are explaining some basic things that make you probably want to like pull your eyes out because you know so much, mm-hmm. There's a lot that's missing.
I think the big hurdle here is like, because I can compare this to F1 series, which they did a great job of. There's what, like 18 drivers in F1. It's just a lot more control. They know a lot more what's going on. And it's a lot simpler, just like the first guy who crosses the line. There's some complexity in F1 as far as like, they have the pit stops and whatever. So it's a little bit confusing. You can manage to confuse me if you try with a European sport. But cycling, there's 3 jerseys you're racing for. There's the stage wins. There's these complicated team dynamics that it just doesn't. It's just a lot. I guess it's a commitment.
They haven't even gotten into 3 jerseys. They haven't explained that.
No, they haven't talked about the KOM. Yeah, I was wondering because there's been no mention of like Magnus Cort. They might go back and do like a whole arc with EF and the KOM jersey, and that might start even at stage 1. What if you agreed to watch this whole series to do the podcast? What if I told you there was 430 episodes?
Mm-hmm. I don't
divorce?
Know. No, I'd have some trouble sleeping, and I never have trouble sleeping. And that would all just be me thinking about how to tell you that I wasn't going to watch 430 episodes.
Okay. But you're down with 8.
Yeah, 8's
through
fine.
4,
yeah,
and you're okay. And I'll do a mezcal run tomorrow. That'll help.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So episode 3 is focused on the 2 French teams. They skipped kind of around to stage 7. They still do the thing. They don't mention who's in the breakaway and that whole dynamic, which is like 7/8 of what goes on during the Tour de France is just the pretend, like, will the breakaway stay away, will it not? And I like that they don't have to, because Netflix does get to summarize it, but that is when you're watching the tour, they're like, oh, there's 50K to go and they have 45 seconds. It's like, no, of course they're not going to pull it off. But you have, again, they're trying to keep your eyeballs on it. So I like that Netflix doesn't put us through that. I like Pinot. I'm down. I have a season pass for hanging out with Pinot and his farm. For French fans, there's always like, oh, he's our guy for this 5-6 year period. And so that's definitely Pinot for then and now. Before that was Thomas Voeckler, who I don't like that guy. Nobody liked that guy. He was a real pain in the ass. I raced with him a lot. Just a pain in the butt in the pack. And I've never, I'm sure Thibaut's had his moments, but I think Thibaut generally a liked, pleasant dude.
Yeah, he had a line that really resonated with me. He said, sometimes I feel like I'm more popular than I am talented.
Very reflective.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he seems like a thoughtful dude. I think you can interpret that line, and because that was memed a lot, I kind of saw that. I thought about that a little bit. There's two ways to sort of see that. One is, it's sort of a curse to have fans and people are painting your name on the side of the road, and you're going to come 35th on your home stage. But like, that's the reality, because you're just, he's really good, but he's not that good. And then the other is he's kind of in this weird spot ability-wise where like there's sort of two tiers of, well, there's 1,000 tiers of riders, but there's for climbers there's the top guys who are going to be top 5 in the GC, right? There's that handful of dudes, and if you're like the 8th best climber, you're never going to beat Pogacar on a climb. There's just not. It's a really simple power to weight. He's got more than you. So the only way you're going to win a stage is out of a breakaway. So Pinot is playing the breakaway card, and he's, even to this day, there was a whole Twitter beef with him and Vaughters a month ago or 2 months ago during this year. I forget. I can't keep track. But he's out of these breakaways, and now when you're in a breakaway and you're clearly the strongest guy, and everyone knows you're the strongest guy, now what that means is it's sort of a beautiful equalizer, because tactically everyone else in the breakaway is going to race against you. So like, he's the best guy in the breakaway, but he's not that good that he can win when it's 6 against 1. And so like, there's the stage where he's in the break with Bob Jungels and a bunch of other guys, and Jungels attacks, and I'm like, Jungels super strong, solid dude, but when he attacks, the other guys in the breakaway look at Pinot like, oh, you got to bring that back. That's your problem. That's not our problem, because you're the stage favorite here. It's one of those, like, he's not going to be able to win the stage, so he's sort of cursed, like, I'm talented enough to like be famous and whatever, but I'm not so good that I can like out-horse this breakaway or out-climb Pogacar. And it's an interesting, I see that. And crime a river of Cabernet and goat shit, or goat urine. Yeah.
Cabernet, his name's Pinot.
Oh crap, that joke was right there. I just went for a cliche French reference.
You missed that?
I missed that. Well, that's what you're here for. Nice job. Teamwork.
Thanks. I'm
Thank
kind
you.
of
No, you're here to pick up
I'm
for
not
me.
gonna lie.
All right, she's lost respect for me. There's also the reality of knowing, a lot of people are like, oh, this is your home climb, you should do well there, and like, him knowing every curve of that climb does not improve his power to weight ratio whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's never. I think that's like, I don't know if that's a common thing to talk about because the race has something to talk about, or if that's like a common misconception. Recon doesn't really help in a lot of situations in the tour, and I think recon doesn't happen as much as you might think. A lot of these riders, like, they're looking at a map, they got a guy on the radio, like they probably have like Google Earth photos of the last couple K, like maybe someone rode it with the GoPro before and they're watching it, but like, these guys have not seen these stages before unless the stage has happened in a previous race, and they don't remember. It's a blur. Each climb has got its own thing, so they're just like, but they've all done 1,000 races, and they all know, like, here's the card on my stem, here's what's going to happen next, here's the guy on the radio. But recon really isn't an angle there. They also get into Ben O'Connor, who's also from a French team, but obviously an Australian rider, who was like kind of a favorite to podium top 5, and a really like painful, I think, humanizing arc for Ben O'Connor. He was the one who like crashed, he tore a muscle. Yeah. So there's this weird, like, it's this funny thing that he even said it in the thing where, like, when you're covered in bruises and blood and bandages, the crowd and the audience, whatever, like they see what you're dealing with and they feel bad for you. When you just have like a deep bone bruise that's swollen, but it like deactivates half of your leg, there's no visible sympathy, but like you still can't pedal.
It's a hard thing to be in pain or struggle and nobody sees it. It
you just need to wear like there should be like a red necklace, just like, yeah, this hurts.
like I'm at a level 10, leave me alone.
Are you saying that this is like half the day? Was I annoying you today?
No.
Okay, I thought there was like a...
No.
Like, you mean this very moment for you, having to listen to me on the couch? People don't know you're in pain.
Where's my red necklace?
Oh, dear.
Next episode.
But the whole... They don't show a ton of him. He's almost like an afterthought in the filming, or maybe they filmed more and realized like, oh crap, that arc's a dead end because he pulled out. Again, it's a hard thing. Like, Netflix can't interview 130 riders in the hopes that that's the right ones for the thing. But he the lonely drop off at the airport is one that like every pro cyclist just like everyone's done that. Everyone's seen that. Like we were in Europe a couple months ago and like we're flying from Girona to Nice and buddy Joe Dombrowski, who we were teammates one year, comes up to us at the plane and it's just like, Joe, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be racing the Ruta del Sol. And he's like, yeah, I got sick. Like he's just like the race is still going on. He was in there yesterday and now he's flying home and he's just like the only time you don't want to be recognized. It's just like I remember being at the airport at I forget, I guess it'd be Maastricht, and like I'm flying out because I was on I was pulled from the list the day before. Like I was a reserve and then I didn't end up doing the race, so they sent me home. Like while all the other guys are flying in, so like I'm at the airport going one way and everyone else is walking by me like, hey Phil, what's up? It's like I cannot, like I'm putting dark sunglasses on and my headphones, so no one, it's brutal. So it's like, yeah, I feel you, O'Connor. That's rough. And then the team like telling him, you just push through one more day, and then this is a recovery day. Tomorrow's like a sprinter stage. It's like there's this weird like you can recover during the Tour de France is what they're trying to tell him. And the thing is, you kind of can. Like that's how the breakaway artists do it. It's just like here's a stage they're going for it, and then here's like 3 days where they're not recovering, but they're not as effed as the other guys who are really racing that day. You can kind of hide in the pack and be like, all right, today I lose 25 minutes and I'm still within time cut. Like that's the art of the sprinters are doing that. But for him, his position and whatever, it's just also like it's going to get injured as you're sitting crooked on the bike because something's hurt and now you're pulling your back, and then suddenly like a 2-week thing turns into a 6-month thing.
And then you're 50 and then all goes downhill from there.
Suddenly you're on a couch with a bad mustache and a wife who's in serious pain.
With some weird red necklace on.
Yep. Now, about here, we got into stage 9. I thought had some really good France and Switzerland porn. Just some beautiful. Yeah, know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of drone shots, and it's just like, that's one of the things that people tune in for.
What was that climb with the switchbacks?
Well, that was the next one, but that was the next episode that switches back and forth. That was Les Sets. I want to do half an hour on Les Sets because I saw that KOM. So hold your thoughts on Les Sets. But I have very few. Right, I know. I have very few moments of pride. I deserve them. They showed, but Youngles. I like to see Youngles win a stage. Well. Okay, there was a part there that I thought Netflix cooked a little bit because they had the whole Pinot. They had a lot of interview, a lot of bank stuff from him. They had the expectations. There's the stage where like his like almost redemption, where he's in a breakaway, and it wasn't the stage he was supposed to win in his hometown, but it was 1 or 2 stages later. Here's the breakaway, and Youngles attacks it. Youngles is a guy who like he's one of the guys I'm sure he's won stages before of probably everything, but he's more the guy you see like on the front, just drilling it for his teammate and just like being that's just a name who's constantly on the front and, pulling out with 10K to go, having done an outrageously impressive job. So it's cool to see that guy grab a stage, but, and they showed him enough that like, okay, cool. We get to enjoy that for him. But they also show like, he attacks the brake, and it's on the climb he attacks, and they said he puts 2 minutes on the brake. He's got a 2-minute lead going over the top. And then Pinot, who, to be fair to Pinot, he's marked out, but Pinot attacks towards Youngles, but like the race is already over. And Netflix kind of does this like, they do the radio like, oh, you're gaining on Jungels at the finish line, and they go, the Jungels like, oh, he's gaining, I gotta go faster, and Pinot was never gonna catch him. Jungels was gone, and Pinot made him earn it, but like they were never in the same shot on camera, like they could never find that angle. It wasn't really a pursuit.
I was fooled.
Perfect. So there you go. That's fine. Pinot had no chance at that. It was one of those like, and that's a TV attack. That's they call him a romantic rider. That's a thing that you do. You do an attack to get on TV, and again, like there is a world where he wins that, but I don't think it was ever really realistic. And I remember watching that stage, and I see what he's doing. That's fine. And second place, by the way, quite respectable. That's fine. Like he's attacking for second and dropping those guys.
Is it worth burning energy like that? I mean, I know it's the end anyway, but
yeah.
You know you're not going to get it just to get on.
If you're for second place, if you're like not a GC guy, like Pinot's a guy who's still happy with second place. Like obviously he wants to win, but like he's not going to get a ton of podiums during for a Pogacar or a Wow. No. And again, there's a version where like Jungels crashes on the descent or whatever. Like that's, you put yourself in a position to do that 100 times and you get lucky once.
Yeah. Okay.
So we can allow that. There were some ice vests as a plug. This show has no sponsors. Okay, we have no sponsors of the show. I have to pay for web hosting. That's not free. This is my time. I'm editing this all tomorrow, editing out all of Emily's sarcastic insults at me. So I can plug the fact that they were wearing ice vests because ice vests are effective, and I sell them at icelegs.com. If we sell a few of those, then they don't have to get sponsors for this show.
Okay.
And then everybody wins, especially me, and except not Pinot.
Yeah.
They in the Switzerland porn. They show the city of they pronounce it Aigle, Aigle, and I've been there, and everyone it's Aigle, but everyone's like, oh, it's pronounced egg, like scrambled eggs or whatever. They say it's pronounced egg. There's no, and I know the whole time I was there, I was like, I could never say it right, and I still know how to do it, but I know that everyone on TV was saying it wrong, so I was saying it. And you want to say Aigle because it's you sound it out if you're an English speaker, but it's just I think you just slur it so hard because you're drunk on fine Swiss wine. Egg, Aigle egg. Try it.
Egg.
but try and say egg, but you're actually saying Aigle. That's the tricky part.
Egg.
See, egg. There's a little in there, like the glottal. Long time since I took linguistics, but egg. I think you did better than I've ever done. Right there. Oh well.
Thank you.
We've got to talk about the director, Julian Yertle. Director Sportif with all the tattoos.
Yes. Let's discuss because I was thinking. Yeah.
I already feel bad about it, but we can't let it go.
Doesn't feel bad about.
Okay, I won't feel bad about it. He got the tattoos and he showed them on television.
I want to go through them. So there's the podium one, right? Where it's
the team. There's a team. So one of the prizes at the tour, which they don't explain, is the team classification, which is I think it's like if you have the best time. Cumulative of your top, I forget if it's 3 or 5 riders. That's the team GC, okay. And that's one of those prizes that like really no one goes into the race looking for the team GC. There's a lot of consolation prize, so everyone starts the race, and they do a good job explaining this with those French teams specifically. Everyone goes in the race like, oh, here's our guy to win the GC, and then around like stage 4, and I've been in this race many times where it's just like, oh, we're going to win the race, and then stage 4 is like, oh, our GC guy's 8 minutes back. We're going for stage wins now, and it's like, oh crap. Stage wins are really hard. We're just trying to be in breakaways and be on TV. Then it goes, and then there's a KOM jersey. It's like, oh, maybe we can get that. And suddenly, like, everyone's really stoked about the KOM jersey for 5 minutes. And then I would say, like, the team classification is pretty low on that. It's just like, oh, we got 3 guys who can come top 30. Yes, let's go the team. And so he got a tattoo of that.
Okay, well.
I'm sure it was hard. I'm sure it was really hard.
It's very aligned with his next tattoo that he explains, which is his list of achievements. He has his literal resume.
To be fair, it was his. I believe it was his riders' achievements, not his personal achievements. It was the riders that he directed.
It was. You're right.
So it's far less obnoxious that way.
Okay, that's.
But it's still a bit. And I think everyone watching had the same reaction to his next tattoo, where he goes on like, "Here's my arm devoted to this race and my back devoted to this race." By the way, what if that team fires you? Because that could happen. That's a move. I guess he can get like a sponsor logo tattooed to his bicep. That would be a super bad move. But anyway, the next tattoo was
the compass.
The compass, vaguely representing his family.
oh, and this is my family represented by a compass. Is that
Well, the compass gives him direction, you know. And the thing is, he might have gone on like a 5-minute rant about how much he loves his wife and his children, and Netflix was just like, nah, it's already 46 minutes. This episode, you know what I mean? Like they might have screwed him on that, and he gave his family equal billing. Because I get the compass, the symbolism of you know, that's your North Star, you know, like how I'm your North Star.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, like how our dog Nala is your North Star.
Where is she?
Nala made it through. We just watched the 2 episodes in a row, and Nala pieced out. Actually, I think it was during the Swiss porn.
Yeah,
she put herself to bed.
A North Star. That's where I need to be.
Yeah.
Bedtime.
Go to bed. So Nala doesn't like cycling, is what I'm taking from it.
No.
You know what Nala does like?
Likes.
Okay, tell them. Try and do this quickly because this is another aside.
Okay,
what does Nala like to watch?
I think it was New Year's that we were going to a friend's house and we put we left the TV on with the volume up in case the fireworks, because there's another dog
dogs
there.
get stressed
We
by
didn't
fireworks.
take her. Yeah.
Nala ain't staying up till midnight.
And we left the Shaq documentary running.
Yeah, I just turned on like what was like HBO was the last time we watched. I didn't want to like get back into whatever show we were watching and lose our place.
Yeah.
So I just like the most recent thing was the Shaquille O'Neal documentary.
Nala stayed on the couch the whole time. She was awake when we got home, and she was watching the Shaq doc. She had completed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She binged Shaquille O'Neal. And now like the thing is Nala, she's a huge Shaq fan. She's a huge Shaq fan.
Loves basketball.
And she all she wants to do is like she's just constantly bringing up his stats. She's just like, you know that Shaquille O'Neal was 6'10" in high school? She keeps telling me that. And I'm like, Nala, just eat your kibble.
Size 22.
Yeah, and his shoes are size 22. Donates a lot of money. Anyway, but she won't be doing that with Wout.
No, she's...
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, Wout.
Oh, we missed one of the tattoos. Which I only remember because my very good friend was just visiting us from France. She was in Antibes, near Nice. Mm-hmm. And I think she met somebody. We went somewhere.
You guys, don't say which cafe. Somebody. I know which cafe, but I don't need.
We saw somebody.
Very small chance that someone shows us.
Let me move on. We saw somebody who claimed to be French, and she spoke some French, but very little. And then when my friend asked her where she was from, she said blah blah blah. I forgot where. And she had a Eiffel Tower tattoo, and it wasn't making sense in my friend's head why she had an Eiffel Tower tattoo, and the woman was claiming to be French because Jill's words were, no French person would ever get an Eiffel Tower tattooed on them.
What tattoo would a French person get? Well, here's the thing. So Jill's point was destroyed by this French guy who had an Eiffel Tower tattoo.
Yeah, but I think he probably gets highly made fun of by the French for having an Eiffel Tower tattoo.
I mean, he took his shirt off. He's not too ashamed of it.
That's a different story than being made fun of.
That's true. All right.
Separate.
All right. Oh, this guy can probably take the heat. But yeah, 2 Eiffel Tower tattoos in 48 hours.
Wild. What's going on out there?
Same artist, you think?
Should I get one?
What if an Eiffel Tower?
I'm not French. They can't make fun of me.
What about like an Arc de Triomphe? You know?
Yeah.
There's lots of other French iconic things. You know what? Get the Mona Lisa just straight on your back in life size because it's very small. And then when Youngles wins the stage, they show the champagne at dinner. I like that part. That's a fun.
Yeah, they were drinking. I was shocked at that.
Yeah. So okay. It's kind of it's frowned upon to drink during a stage race. You don't do that, but like a glass of red isn't like a lot of the older guys would get away with it, or like the policy is you're not supposed to, but they would do it, and whether they can do fine them. But for the stage win, obviously they get champagne on the podium, but it's sort of a standard. When you win the stage, the team has champagne at dinner. The team has a bottle, and it's a rule. It's like you can't not do it. It's religious. And you don't have to like slam the whole bottle, but that's the deal. And the thing is, everyone does like a toast, and you know the team dinners usually it's like a big buffet area, and all the teams are at least like half the teams are in the same hotel, and like you're sitting there drowning your fucking rice and you know, well, rice is delicious, but you're sitting there drowning in whatever food that you're sick of, and your jaw's sore, and you're sore, and you got a bad day because everybody had a bad day if you didn't win. And then you just hear like 3 tables over, like, bye! Everyone's toasting. It's just like, ugh. It's literally like you're like, nice, like everyone does a little tap for the guy, and you look at him just like, oh, this sucks. Like, get it over with. It's like when somebody's singing Happy Birthday at the next table at Applebee's, and it's just like, I'm just trying to eat my Fiesta Lime chicken. Yeah, it's tasty. It's a good item. Sponsored by.
I thought you were going to say rice and beans. That's why I got excited.
Oh, no, it was rice and grilled chicken was where my head was going. No, we don't. Rice and beans I'd be okay with, but it's always like the same rice, grilled chicken, or salmon. At the big races, the teams will have, most of those teams probably have like a personal chef at the race to do like whatever each guy likes. So they might, but it looked like a standard for breakfast for sure. They just do the hotel, basic stuff. But I would say most of the teams would have a chef. Maybe even EF had one. That means all the Broke teams have one.
Do you think the hotels like turn up their breakfasts?
No, the hotels, at least most of those races, the hotels would have they'd have like outside, like the ASO would bring in outside catering to staff the hotel for the meal. So the hotel just like they send the maids home, they send the cooks home, and it's just the race has their little traveling thing that's minimum lowest bidder situation.
Interesting.
But then they would bring in, like, obviously food's important. So they would bring in like each team would have a chef that they were loyal to. And it's like kind of the same chefs at each of the races for the A races for sure. Hi, this is Editing Phil cutting in. We are going to make one separate podcast episode for each episode of the show. So part 2, next episode 4 of this coming up very soon. We're going to crank these as fast as we can to lead into the 2023 Tour de France. So thanks for watching, listening. It's available on audio. Tell your friends, comments, all that stuff. Appreciate it. You'll hear from us soon.